Meet Bridgit and Jen, your go-to gals for laughs, wisdom, and real talk on the podcast Don't Get Me Started. From relationships to finding joy, they'll keep you inspired and entertained through life's adventures after 50. So hit that subscribe button and join Bridgit and Jen for Don't Get Me Started, because life's too short for boring conversations. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Don't Get Me Started. I'm Jen.
I'm Bridgit.
And today our topic is relationships. So whether those relationships are long-term marriages or second marriages, they all teach us and we can grow from them. So how relationships evolve and grow over time, we're going to get into the weeds on all of that today, Bridgit. Are you ready?
I think so. I think I'm ready to conquer it. It happens to be one of those things that, again, at our age is extremely important.
Right.
That you surround yourself with what you want back.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right. So let's talk about something surprising about getting married again and after being a single mom, right?
Yeah. I'll tell the most interesting part of that is I was not gonna get married again. It's divorce, as many of you know, is extremely taxing. It's extremely taxing and unfortunately very common.
Mm-hmm.
And my children came first and they became my 100% priority. And like I said to you, I wanted them, to me personally, the school system in Southwest Florida sucks. Compared to the North. I mean, if you had to put your children in school down here, moving down from Ohio,
yeah,
it was like, oh my God.
Well, I'll tell you, I will be honest with you, I agree with that. And that's why.
Don't get me started.
That's right. Don't get me started, because that is really why we never did.
Right.
Never,
Exactly. So that's why Sanibel Island was so important to me. The Sanibel School.
I mean, no offense to.
No, for sure. The Blue Ribbon School is amazing.
Yes.
Fort Myers High is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, Connor and Kate were my priority.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn how to hammer things into a wall.
Mm-hmm.
You do things that you wouldn't normally have to do if you were married. Okay. Uh-huh. So then I met Dan, mm-hmm. and we both actually sort of agreed that he was going through his divorce, I was going through mine, and we both were like, this is too much. Like, why would we ever do this again? Well, because I'll tell you what happens. You fall in love, you're head over heels. It's the next step. And we're like, of course we're going to get married. Of course we're going to get married.
Right.
Like, what kind of an example would that be for 4 teenagers to, live in sin? So we got married. Okay, now here's the interesting thing is, because I can do things myself, mm-hmm. I try to do most things myself. However, it is very, very endearing to have a husband who does everything for me. Mm-hmm. So I sometimes have to let that happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But also there's, we have, Dan and I have this joke where I'll say, when you get a minute, here's number 122 on your to-do list, and then if there's something that I really want done, I strive to never be like a nagger, or henpeck. Mm-hmm. I'll never do that. So I think to myself, Bridgit, what would you do if you were single, Bridgit? I go back to like pretend that you're single, Bridgit, and then of course go get the ladder.
Yeah.
Put the ladder up, climb the ladder, get it done. Right. I just get it done. But I pick and choose when I'm going to do that. So it's
Right.
very nice to be taken care of,
Right.
even though you can do it
Well,
yourself.
because I think sometimes, because I'll do the same thing. I think we're both very independent women, and we want to make sure that A, we can still do these things,
true.
and B, to say, look, I can do this. I'm not, this little wallflower who just has to sit and watch things get done.
Right.
I can do this.
Yeah.
But I do think, like you mentioned, that it is important that on the other end, we do allow them that opportunity to do those things
Correct.
for us, because that's part of,
their love language.
Right.
Yeah. I know.
Right.
Yeah.
So that yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was a big, all I can say is just never say never. Because I've said never a lot. And it's never been the outcome that I thought it was going to be. So.
Right. Yeah. Now I come from the opposite end, right? Because my husband and I have been together
high school sweethearts.
High school, so that's, what, 30 some years? We don't need to get into the since 1991. How's that for all of you who are mathematicians out there and want to do that math? But really, we have had to grow, because who you are as, what grade were we in? We would have been juniors, right? Juniors, and who you are as a junior in high school is not the same as who you are as a 30-year-old. It's not the same who you are as a 40 or 50-year-old.
Oh my God, for sure.
Then where you are in life as well, in terms of, with your kids and your family life, that adds a whole new dimension, where you are in your career. Again, all of these things, so you have to learn to grow, either as a couple grow together, or you grow apart. And so, that has been, it's not all rosy, right? I mean, anybody out there who says it is lying to you, But it's how you work through it together and get through any of those times, no matter what it is, is what makes or breaks you.
Yeah, it also is tough being a parent and you want to be a role model, but I will be the first to tell my kids, I am no expert in that field.
Right.
Therefore, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you what I've learned from my experiences.
Yeah.
I wish nobody had to get divorced.
Right.
I really wish that.
Right.
And however, with that being said, there are times where when you get married, there's different stages of life, and there's different stages of love.
Right.
Okay. And I was not ready. Let's see, I was not ready to make a lifetime commitment to another human being. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
In hindsight.
Right.
Okay. So I remember I was 30, and that back then that's kind of late. That's kind of late to not be on the marriage and baby train already, and so I was so career oriented, and money. That's kind of still where I am today. But that reminds me of something hilarious. When Jen and I were discussing our goals for this podcast, and Jen said to me, I said to Jen, what is your goal for this podcast? What do you want to see happen? And Jen said, this is so Jen. I would like to help as many women as possible in the 40 plus years with, strength, health, blah, blah, blah. And she said, what are your goals, Bridget? And I said, it's just to make a shit ton of money. To make a shit ton of money. So anyway, that being said, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Marriage? Like I knew I wanted a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I wanted marriage to go with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so, so I was married to Connor Cage's dad for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, I didn't like sharing.
Yeah.
I didn't like compromising. I was not a fine-tuned human yet.
Yeah.
I was not.
Yeah.
My career was first. My way or the highway. I did not compromise. I did not share. I was not a good wife. I was not a good, I wasn't.
Yeah.
So I have the most amazing children.
Yeah.
From that marriage. And their dad has recently moved down here and we all have a great relationship. We all get together for the holidays. So it's, we still like each other as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I hope my kids stay with their partners forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hope they do.
Yeah.
I hope that they have the wherewithal like you do 30 years. I mean, if I look at who I was in high school to who I am now, I don't know that one person could handle all that. Seriously. So kudos to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's a journey, and you either go on the journey together and learn to grow together,
Yeah.
or you grow apart.
Yeah.
And are there years that, we were probably not on the same page? Yeah, because, I'm focused, solely on the kids and spending my entire focus on them at the time, and maybe not focusing enough on him, and he's focused on growing his business and his career.
Yeah.
And so there were times when, no, it's not perfect, but, you learn how to manage those times and how to work through those things, together. So
what would you credit that strength to? I mean, I'm telling you what, that is a superpower. Not everybody has that or can do that. What do you think, or what do you know has kept your bond?
Well, for me personally, I would say, because I don't want to respond for him. So for me personally, I would say my faith.
Okay.
Yeah. For sure. That is always something that, I've always leaned on to help me no matter, whether I am stressed or not, or in, I don't want to say trouble, but what I,
Okay.
Or not.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we discuss what are your current philosophies on love and relationships? If you could put it into one sentence. Ooh, this is kind of hard. How did I come up with these?
Love and relationships. Well, again, based on what I've experienced and what I'm going through is, again, love takes many shapes and forms in my life. And I will say that, I mean, picture this, seriously, picture this. So when I met Dan, and when I met Dan, dated Dan, married Dan, I did all of that still not in recovery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I went from, fun girlfriend,
Right.
to a little bit of a fun wife, and then just downhill drunk wife from there. Okay. So now I'm in recovery 10 years ago, and I am sober for the first time with this man
So it's a whole new.
It's a whole new
Bridget.
world,
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing this movie, what was it called? When a Man Loves a Woman, with who's that cutie? Meg Ryan and Andy Garcia.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets sober and is no longer in love.
Oh,
with Andy Garcia. So those two,
yeah.
And I've never forgotten that. Anyway, I have to say again, thank God, I have never loved Dan more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seeing who he is, his faith has never wavered through all of that with me.
Yeah.
All of that. And I sure gave him a run for his money, I'll tell you what. But so that love, we have endured a lot together in the past 17 years, past 20 years. But I have to say, he entered my life at the right time. He was a good mom and dad for my kids.
Right.
He helped them through the homework. He helped them through the teen challenges that I mentally maybe wasn't there for,
Right.
But I don't know that we could have raised babies together.
Yeah.
I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't have an answer for all that. I don't have an answer for that.
Right. No, it is because I think it's going to be different for each couple.
For sure.
I mean, obviously there are some things that are, you have to have respect for each other. That's obviously goes across the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, each relationship is different. But I do think that if you have that mutual respect for each other, that goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
In helping to create a more positive relationship between the two of you, rather than one person kind of being running the show, if you will.
There's a maturity level too,
Right.
though. You have to be, I didn't grow up.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up and mature until 40. I got married at 40, right? Kind of around there.
Sure. Again, we don't do math on this podcast, so if you are into that.
So yeah,
look up the
sorry,
math
we don't do
podcast.
math. Yeah, if you don't do math, you're in the right place.
Yep, exactly.
So it's it's just a matter of, life now is working through, what each day brings us.
What would you say are some things that are keys to keeping things,
Spicy?
fresh, connected? Because I know you mentioned in another episode, Sundays you do date night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think it's something as simple as that, though.
yeah. There's a couple of things, and a lot of it I've learned in recovery. I've learned a lot of nuggets of life and wisdom in my program. And one of them is to, I constantly in my brain go back to memories I have of when Dan and I dated.
Yeah.
Because it kind of makes me fall in love with him all over again every day when I do that.
Right.
Because you're being courted.
Yeah.
Like, how much fun is that?
Yeah.
We have date night for sure. I'm trying to think of how long we've done that, but it's easy. And we both know that from being married before. We both know that it's easy to take your partner for granted.
Right. And I feel like so many people think that it has to be so complicated, kind of like with your health and wellness. It has to be complicated, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't. It's something as simple as scheduling in. If you can schedule in time to sit and watch TV. You can schedule in time to sit and just connect.
One of the sweetest things that I heard, and I've never forgotten it, was to just try this, and that when you try something and practice it, it becomes second nature.
Right.
Treat your significant other like a guest in your house.
Oh, wow.
Seriously, think about that.
Yeah.
If your kids,
Mm-hmm.
boyfriends and girlfriends,
Mm-hmm.
husbands, wives, the first thing that you're gonna say is, how did you sleep? Did you sleep good? What can I get you? Can I get you a cup of coffee? Can I get you a cup of tea? Are you warm enough? Are you cool enough?
Yeah.
Do you feel like doing anything? You want to go to the beach? What about snack foods? Can I get you some snack?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that's how you treat
Right.
them. Okay.
Yeah.
So treat your spouse
Yeah.
like a guest in your house and see what happens. You'd be amazed of the things that you don't even ask them, that you don't even think about asking them,
Right.
because they're living in the house with you. But
That's
ask
so
them.
true. Right.
Ask them.
Exactly.
When you go to pour a cup of coffee,
Mm-hmm.
pour your spouse's first.
Yep.
Everything you do it for your spouse first. It's just I learned that in the program from one of the happiest older couples that I've ever met in my entire life. And it's just little things like that. You know, here's another cute thing is find a baby picture. Like, it doesn't have to be a baby, but
Yeah.
a picture of you when you were young and a picture of your husband when you're young. Okay, put those on, put those in the bedroom, put those on the dresser, put those on the nightstands. That will always, it will always remind you of the sweet, innocent, fun-loving child that your husband actually is.
Oh, that's
It's hard to describe it,
Yeah.
but it's I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
There's little things like that.
Yeah. Oh, I
So
like that.
that's
Yeah.
what I would say.
Yeah, that's perfect. What about what makes this chapter of marriage so fulfilling? Ooh, I would say that it's really getting time to focus on us and not focus on us and the kids. Not that we don't love our children, but we have spent so many years focused on them. You know, I mean, we recently took a trip to Europe, and it was the first time that he and I, aside from coming to here, coming down to Florida, it was the first time that he and I went and did something that was that scale without the kids.
That's crazy.
And it was just like, oh, wow. And we had the best time. We usually rely on the kids to navigate for us and to, do this, that, and the other.
Putting out fires.
We did it all, and just to have that time together, it was just, and neither of us were, working. So, because when we come down here, I still work from down here. So to get away from, both of us get away from work, both of us away from the kids, away from the dogs, to just have time to focus on us. It was fantastic to finally do that, and I just think that that is so important. Now, it doesn't, again, I don't want everybody to think that, oh, I have to plan this elaborate. You don't. Because daily, what we do is our dog walks. That's our time to check in. That's our check-in time, is our dog walk time.
I'll have to tell you something funny is, so Dan and I are building a home in Costa Rica. Just a vacation place, a place to sleep when we go there. Okay,
Right.
Is what it's going to be. And people, friends and followers always ask about, like, where is this place? Where is this place in Costa Rica, and how do you get there? And the first thing I tell them is that you have to truly be in love with your husband or wife and enjoy their company if you're going to go to this destination. Because Dan and I, it's planes, trains, and automobiles. And if you don't thoroughly enjoy each other's company, I mean, as a matter of fact, my husband, I think this was his rule. Before you get married, he told this to each one of the kids. Before you get married, you take a road trip. I don't care if it's from here across Alligator Alley to,
Yeah.
but you take a road trip
Uh-huh.
because that is what's going to bring out the true
Mhm.
personality and quirks and tempers and what have you. So Dan and I have to go. We fly into San Jose. We rent our truck, car, SUV, whatever.
Mhm.
Drive for a couple hours. Get to the
Wow.
ferry. Put the truck on the ferry. Take the ferry across for
Oh
a
my
couple
gosh.
hour, and then get to our final destination, and then drive for another couple hours. Like,
Mhm.
and there's no lights, there's no traffic. Like, there's no we go through a lot
Yeah.
together, and we still make each other laugh hysterically.
Yeah.
We know when to be quiet. We know, like, you get
Right.
you just know the
Right.
habit. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's just it. I think people need to understand that there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. And it's, searching for that is
It's set up for failure.
it's set up for failure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But you also have to learn how to love yourself too, right? Before loving
Working
someone
on it.
else.
Working on it.
So,
Yeah.
so I want to get the listeners involved in this and find out what the best relationship advice that they have ever received is,
Ooh, good idea.
along with what's the worst relationship advice you have ever received.
Oh, I've got one for that.
Okay, go.
Oh, I remember one time, and I can't mention names because I don't know who's going to be watching this, but it was regarding my first marriage, and it was you better make this work because if this marriage does not work out, I know it's your fault.
Oh.
Because I was, the wild child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was the worst. Okay.
Yep, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. And we'll just move on to our nail salon wisdom.
So what's yours?
What's yours?
You just get off that easily.
I don't know about worse. I would say the best was from my husband's grandparents, and they were married for over 70 years before they passed away. Yeah, they were such a lovely couple. Adored them. But they said that communication is key. So always make sure that you are communicating. Never go to bed angry. And I know we hear that a lot, but I think it is so true, because if you do try to go to bed when you're angry, you're not going to sleep well anyway. So you might as well just hash that shit out and move on.
True.
So yeah, but I mean, I think so much, well, especially in this day and age, so much can be misconstrued with text, right? The way
that's a whole
read
other
text.
episode.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Don't get me started. Yeah.
But that's just, I think we should write that down. Because that is a whole new thing now. That wasn't a thing when we didn't have cell phones when we got married. So texting wasn't a thing, but I think
so many fights and arguments I've gotten into by misconstrued emotions about the text.
Yeah. So definitely clear communication is imperative. Well, I mean, for any relationship, not just a marriage, for any relationship to work. So, all right, let's get to our nail salon wisdom for this episode. And for this episode, our nail salon wisdom is: love isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about learning to see the beauty in the imperfect.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yep. So, all right, I'm gonna wrap this one up. Next episode,
what?
Next episode, we're tackling health and wellness and how we're gonna make it fun. All right, so we will catch you next time.
Stay sunny and sassy.
Yep, and keep showing up for yourself. Catch you next
time. And I think a lot of women will resonate with that. I mean, we spend a lot of time trying to please others. Oh my God. And then by the time it's, you realize it's not really about pleasing others. Right. It's about making sure that your circle is
positive and
Right.
happy,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Which is why we're doing this, podcast, to be another little area of sunshine in your life. And so I agree with you. I mean, so this will be a whole nother episode, but so when I turned 50, I went into recovery.
Yeah.
So that to me was like the beginning of my life number 2 in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So I saw the world clearer and sober at 50, and now I'm 60,
Yeah.
and I'm still learning how to boundaries. I never
Right.
had a boundary. I never had. I mean, I may have had them, but I never, followed it out or
Yeah.
or enforced them or respected them. So